Hey guys, it's your bear boy host Hito, and we're back. We're just fixing our new whole entire thing of our new bear technology. It's been a while. Let's fix this up. Hey guys, how's it going? So, it's your bear boy host Hito. As you guys know, Hito had a small little medical situation, i.e., kidney stones, which I'm doing a lot better. I flushed everything out of my system. Was painful when it happened. That's how I spent my Pride Day. But at the end of the day, I'm doing a lot better, and you guys don't have to worry much about it. But I'm still taking the rest of this week to recover, to make sure everything is all right, and I am good, and I am back at 100%. So today is the only day that I will be streaming today, because guess what? We're doing a chill discussion. We're having some chill discussions today about LGBT representation in video games. We're going to be going off on it. We're going to be talking about bad representations. We're going to be talking about really well done representations. And I'm going to reveal each of our guests one at a time. So, without further ado, let's see who is in camera number one. And also I have to undeafen myself a bit, because very important. Our first guest is... It's Miss Mango. Is me... about about some gay games. I like that. Also, along with that, what kind of games? Oh,
They can hear me.
I just fixed it. I fixed it. Some things
Cool.
happened. We fixed it. You can introduce yourself
We're
again.
good?
Yes.
I reintroduced myself.
Reintroduce.
Oh no, it wasn't planned or anything. It was just off the cuff. But yeah, hi. I'm Miss Mango. I'm the owner and founder of the Honey Drop Cafe virtual coffee shop. That's also kind of my channel. And I'm here hanging out to help talk about some queer representation in games with y'all.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah. And what kind of
Take
games do
two
you
from
use?
me.
And what kind of games do you usually play on your channel? And where can everyone find you?
I mean, a butt ton of indie games. It's like, where can you find me, you said?
Yeah.
Twitch.tv/Miss Mango Plays.
Yep.
That's Miss with one S, MIS, and then everything else is pretty much straightforward.
All right. Our second guest also comes into play right now. We got the camera feed going, and boom, we have Carikat.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Never shouted out myself before.
No, you shout yourself out on my channel.
I have a little time makeup, and I'm gonna go for
There you go.
I was pulled down.
So, Carikat, introduce yourself to the lovely people.
What's
All
good?
right, I am Carikat.
I know it's one of Maple's favorite movies. I haven't seen it in a long time. It's probably still one of my favorite movies.
Platformers, hack
Oh my
and
God, Hot Dog
slashes,
Man.
anything that's
Hot
like
Dog
really
Man with the
combat heavy,
skills.
fighting games, all of that. I run the dojo now. That's a new segment we've been doing. So get ready
Nice,
for
good
some
artist.
fights.
He does. Let's see if the shout out works now. Let's do it.
It's Shadow.
Clip is so old.
There it is.
Triple take. I
Yeah.
haven't used the triple take.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even see my thing. It's kind of hard to cry over the channel promos.
Wait, channel.
Oh, no.
Wait, channel promos are. Oh, wait, can you hear the shout out? Oh, the shout out clip is doing its thing. My bad.
Oh man, babe,
That's
when
what
you
does
used to
that.
use the triple take, man, that's a throwback.
Over the channel promos. There we go. I shut off the thingy. The sound effects
Oh,
should
this
not
is-
go. The
This
sound
is
effects should not go crazy.
For last year, my goodness.
Hey, we have some
My
awesome
hair.
things here.
Hi, Samus.
Hey, Sam,
Ooh,
just love you.
fish me. Here, I'll fish you too. Take two fish.
Two fish already? Listen, two fish isn't gonna
Listen.
hurt. Okay, it's fine.
It's it's a semi-serious subject, but we can have fun talking about it. We can feed our bear some fish.
This works.
Howdy. We got Samus, we got Shell Shock, we got Mikan.
Mhm.
Hello.
Yep, it's not a Twitch stream if we don't have one sound issue. Okay, you
Yeah,
are.
honestly, we're in the
This
first
is
10 minutes.
right.
We're not rolling until we hit that 25-minute mark, right?
Oh, me.
Wow.
Oh, wait.
Bulbasaur hat.
Bulbasaur hat already? I mean,
It's too hot for Bulbasaur hat.
yeah, about that. That's we need to return Mikon's points because I don't change hats during this thing. I should actually turn
I've
that.
been there.
I gotta turn that thing off, but it's fine. I'll do it later. So, gay games.
Gay games.
Gay games.
Games,
Oh my
as
God,
one might say.
There's me in my robe over there. What
I
the
like that.
heck? The one stream I did in my bathrobe.
Your morning robe.
Oh my gosh, it's me drinking the maple syrup in the coffee.
Yep.
You did what? What do I miss on Monday
You put
mornings?
a drop of maple syrup in the coffee and you get a maple syrup coffee. It's not that crazy.
You know, that doesn't sound too bad.
It's like a maple flavored coffee. But we're not here to talk about coffee. We're here to talk about some queer games, some LGBTQIA plus alphabet mafia representing games, of which, you know, if you don't look very far, there really aren't many.
Yeah, sadly. I will say this. What are some character? So my first question is, what are some characters that introduce you into the LGBT community, but weren't actually LGBT branded? And I'm gonna start Carikat on that question.
All right, so I'm never gonna forgive you for this, BioWare. Cassandra Pendergast, Dragon Age Inquisition. She, like, I saw her for the first time. You know, this is before I was out as a lot of things, and I was just like, you're a butch woman, you're a butch lesbian, and she's not. You can only romance her as a male character.
Oh, I know that pain. Fire Emblem has done that to me so many times. It has. All right, Miss Mango, what is one character that was not essentially in the LGBT but got you into LGBT characters?
A character that wasn't LGBT but got me into LGBT characters.
I probably said that question wrong. Don't mind me.
No. So does this character have to be explicitly non-LGBT?
Yes, basically.
Which is fine.
Yeah, basically, it's gonna be a non-LGBT character, LGBT character, that was not LGBT. It was a character that was like, ooh, she might represent she might represent the brand, but she's not.
But she wasn't.
She was. She, he, they, them. Either one. Either way.
I mean, all right. I mean, there's two that come to mind. One would be Samus. You know, Samus being a queer character would be awesome. But Mirage from Apex Legends, I would have sworn was going to be a queer character. But that's almost like reading into stereotypes. So like I don't really have a hard answer for that one. My brain comes to like a lot of characters that are actually LGBT, but I'm trying to think of more. If I think of more, I'll pop it back in. But
Mirage isn't canonically bi.
Is he not? I always thought he was. He was like the one character. Oh wait, no, I did. I do have a good one. Farah and Mercy from Overwatch.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mercy in Overwatch is like headcanon by most of the community, I guess, or most of the.
Never forgive you.
Yeah. Link from Legend of Zelda is so full of so many gender, Samus. I'm entirely with you on that.
So much gender, so little person.
Yeah, the two just fit together, and you know, gameplay wise, and you know, they've got that chemistry. You know.
One character I can say that kind of made me think a little bit. I'm like, this character, like, by the way, I'm a 6-year-old at that time, so, you know, I didn't know what it was to be in the LGBT at the time. I was just like, this person acts a little bit more effeminate than I think. I'm 6. So I'm thinking this as a 6-year-old, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I used to think Voldo from Soul Calibur 2 was LGBT because of their movements, because of the way that they fight. It was kind of like, I didn't even know how to pronounce Voldo at that time because it was more like Voldo didn't seem to have a gender at that time in my eyes. Didn't seem to have a gender.
It definitely gets some like agender or non-binary vibes.
Like the movements were very, very well effeminate, but the look was more like Voldo looked more male, but the movements were effeminate. So that's where in between I would think that like, I don't know if Voldo's a woman, I don't know if Voldo's a man, I don't know if Voldo, again, 6-year-old me over analyzing a character, just consistently looking at that. So that's kind of where it came into play. then there are some like female characters that really did like drive that bar up there. Like a lot of Mortal Kombat characters definitely represent LGBT really well, even though they're not in the LGBT, taking Sindel as one where people just love Sindel because she's a fierce bitch. It's like the
I
it's like the femme fatales of gaming
no, I can see that.
awaken something in many young LGBT's hearts. I would assume.
You've got me thinking. I almost want to circle back to Samus, as a wee child. I feel like being a trans individual, kind of seeing this character who so many people when they first played as Samus thought she was a male character, and then it wasn't until the end of the game that they revealed that she wasn't. That whole vibe, I guess, when I was younger, might have gotten me sparked some realizations within myself.
Because there's a lot of femme fatale characters that definitely unlocked, or just to basically satire many people who have disrespected the LGBT. Oh no, that femme fatale character has unlocked the gay in that person or the queer in that person, and I'm like, yes, bitch, she's beautiful. Shut up. So what?
Baby, you're watching the clip from last night, aren't you?
Maybe a little bit. I
So
can't believe you bought it.
Oh my god. Well, it was the rum. Blame the rum.
so what are some femme fatale characters you can say would unlock
Oof.
someone's true unlock someone's truth, if that makes sense.
Kari's gonna have some answers on this one.
Oh,
Go for
baby. Let's see. Nina Williams from Tekken, Anna
Mhm.
Williams from Tekken,
Mhm.
Ayame from Dead or Alive, Widowmaker, shit, Bangalore,
From Apex Legends.
Rampart, pretty much Valkyrie, all of them. So
Most
maybe
of
all
the
them
most of the women
like that.
characters in Apex, I could see you.
Yeah, you just get that femme fatale vibe, and you're just like, whoa, doki
Wow.
doki, like what is going on in my heart?
Doki literature.
Well, not them. You still got to play that, and then you'll know why.
Definitely.
So many
Samus brings up a good point.
so many gender ambiguous characters, definitely keys in unlocking some people's genders and sexualities. For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, like definitely, because I used to play a lot of Metal Gear when I was in high school. I played the first, second, and third one, and they actually are confirmed in their sexuality. I found out that Rykov and Commander Vogel from Snake Eater, Commander Volgan is bisexual, Rykov is actually purely gay, and those two actually used to have a thing within their base, which I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I respect this. Except we don't get to know this because we just knock out Rykov and steal his uniform. You know, we just throw him in a locker, strip his clothes off, take that as a uniform, and then just hop. That's kind of what we do. But it's confirmed that they are both in that situation. But Vamp, I believe, is also bisexual as well, which is really cool. I'm like, oh wow, we're actually having some confirmations in these games. This is actually really cool.
Canonical, like, confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and none of these characters are main characters, right?
No, none of them are main characters. No. Which not at least in throughout the game series. Lieutenant Volgan is the main antagonist of Snake Eater 3, which is another thing I wanted to get into. Which characters do you believe got the villain edit for their sexuality?
Oof.
Because as many of you know, a lot of people tend to villainize LGBT folks and put them as villains.
Even if a character isn't explicitly canonically queer, they'll often be queer coded.
Yeah. They queer code a lot of villains.
Yeah. Like the first that comes to mind would be Zant from Zelda Twilight Princess. Like he's very like feminine and flamboyant. And the other guy from Skyward Sword.
Girahim.
Girahim is the even more so than Xant.
Mhm.
What that tongue did.
Yeah, like the more and more feminine, flamboyant males who are also happen to be villains. It's kind of like there's a weird correlation there that I think is pretty problematic.
It's like within the LGBT community, we're all villains in someone's video game. And that would happen a lot in the past as well. Take the three mages in Chrono Trigger. We have a Flea. Flea is literally supposed. So Flea is either a very effeminate male, depending on which translation you get, would be considered an effeminate male, a female, or a trans woman, and one of the villains in the game that you have to fight alongside to take down Magus.
That's often associated with mental instability.
Yeah,
which adds to the problem.
Another character that I can bring up that fits this bill is Kefka. Kefka dresses very effeminate, literally took over the world, literally became a god, literally went through with his plan. But he's not considered genderqueer, he's not considered non-binary, he's not considered any of the sort in the LGBT, but dresses very effeminately, and it gives off the queer vibe of, hey, this is a villain, he's dressing effeminately, this is me putting two and two together. There's a connection.
Couldn't the same be said for
Kuja? Yeah, but Mikan, they were. It's more the visual association.
Yeah.
So even if you're not immediately consciously aware of those connections, subconsciously it stigmatizes feminine behavior, especially in men, so that it becomes almost what's the word I'm looking for? It feels like divergent behavior, where you almost feel like it should be punished because it's associated with villainy.
They play it off as being predatory almost.
Yeah.
Which is just wrong.
It gives a lot of fuel to people who would oppress gay people and more flamboyant LGBT individuals.
No, Kefka was 6, right?
Yeah, Kefka was 6. That was the one with Terra.
They kind of kept with that whole theme. Maybe not so much in 8, but if you look at the remnants as well as Sephiroth in 7, and then in 9 you have Kuja, who is like very effeminate.
Yeah,
I swore Kuja was a girl for the longest time.
I mean, even like to harp on Final Fantasy games. I mean, a lot of the characters are pretty feminine, but Sephiroth is fairly feminine.
Yeah,
you know.
Yep.
He's masculine in his voice and his behavior, but his looks are fairly gender ambiguous.
Sephiroth and all the rest of the remnants, and even if you take the side games, Genesis was very effeminate.
Although I will not lie, when it comes to Final Fantasy, we did get the Cloud and drag scene. We had more of accepting yourself and accepting the true beauty inside of you, so that was also like a counterbalance to the game. But at the same time, there's so much that they've done with queer characters or queer quote unquote passing characters that it still can tug at some sort of villainy.
Yeah, and then a lot of those scenes where a character will dress up and drag, it's not always presented in a way that feels respectful.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's the butt of a joke. From what I remember from Final Fantasy VII, I don't remember them really making it into a joke.
Yeah, it wasn't a joke.
Like
it wasn't a joke.
Not so much. Yeah.
No, which was kind of nice for a game from '97.
Which actually, I brought up that example as a next tearaway to the next part of the question I have, which is what are segues? Don't you just love that? just kind of segue into something. So the segue into this is the question: what are some games you felt started breaking boundaries when it came to showing positive reinforcements to LGBT's community?
I'm perfectly fine jumping in on this one. I don't remember when it was, but my friend introduced me to Gone Home. And Gone Home, without saying too much about the game, has really wonderful, positive, respectful queer representation. And then from that game, and from like a number of indie games, like that's part of the reason why I play a lot of indie games. There's a lot of good representation in indies. You're not going to see a lot of it in bigger AAA titles. Like you'll have your occasional like Last of Us, and can we think of another where like
That's
you
sad.
play as the gay character, where you play as a queer character, and they're not a custom character. Like, yeah, Mass Effect, you can have gay relationships, which is cool, but there aren't a lot of big AAA titles where the main character is canonically gay, regardless of who plays it.
You're right. You're right on that one.
Another game I could suggest is Life is Strange. It goes.
Life is Strange is a great example.
That's a great one.
It goes into not just the fact that our protagonists are very young and they're still finding themselves out little by little, but you see somewhat of a process of Max can be considered bisexual. Chloe can also be considered bisexual. That is fine. It's somewhere in between. It's somewhere not in between. Who knows where this goes?
Yeah, and it's not the forefront of the story either, which is cool. You know, it's they're gay, they're whether they're bi or gay or pan or whatever they are. In the story, it's not the primary plot device,
which is
right.
Yeah, which
it's
is
just part of their character.
It's just part of their character, which is very important because when you think about it, it's like this is where I get kind of controversial. Oh no.
Uh-oh. While you do that, I'm gonna look something up.
But I think it's great to have LGBT representation in gaming. However, I don't want that to just be the story. I want it to be as nonchalantly important as relationships for a straight person would be. It's like, okay, this person is gay, but this is not the story. But this is not about them being gay, and it's not all about that. That's the important thing that I find to be. That's the thing where it comes to. I want it to be normalized that gay relationships exist. Trans people are meant to be seen and respected for who they are. Queer people are allowed to express themselves in any which shape or form. Non-binary can wear whatever they want. Like, it needs to be normalized where it's not
it shouldn't feel like a rare occurrence. It should feel like something that's part of our everyday.
Exactly. So this is where the controversial part comes in, because some people have been like, oh, that's kind of weird that you wouldn't make it focus on the game. I'm like, no, it shouldn't be the focus on the game. It should be the character and how that character goes through the story of the game. Because at the end of the day, we play games to get into the story. Do we have characters that we can relate to? Absolutely. And that's what it should be. The character should be someone that we can relate to, but it's not going to get in the way of the story whatsoever. It's normalized on who they are. And the story is what we're going through together with this normalized character.
No, I'm with you there.
I agree.
I want to... Yeah.
It's very much in the same way of saying that we are not solely our identities. We have so much more to us. And in that same vein, these characters are not solely their identities. Like, there's so much more to the character, and that relates to the story, or at least it should be that way.
Like,
yeah, I agree.
Like,
and Hito, you
first. I was just gonna say, like, this is how I look at things, and this also made me realize when people are just using their sexuality as their identity, it's not just your identity. It's who you are, yes, but that shouldn't be solely what it is. It shouldn't just be your personality. Gay is not a personality trait. It's who you are.
It's a small part of the tapestry that makes up a person.
Exactly.
And you don't see a lot of games and movies and stories about how people became straight. Though there is definitely room for those kind of stories, of self-discovery, because there is a truth in it. You know, a lot of I would argue most queer identifying people didn't have the privilege of just being who they are. You know, there's a lot of self-discovery in that community. So I can see where you're coming from as far as being controversial because people want to see those stories of self-discovery because it's a reflection of their own story. But I'm entirely with you on, sometimes, you want to play, I don't know, you want to play a game where you're an astronaut and the astronaut is doing astronaut things
Exactly.
and they also just happen to be non-binary and a lesbian, but that's only mentioned in passing in 2 scenes. Maybe they kissed their wife or something,
Exactly.
and it's just there and then it's gone. Moving on to,
Like, it's
Houston.
like,
We have a not so gay problem.
I think the reason why people get mad about this and find this controversial is the fact that they feel, oh, they're just going to show that and sweep it under the rug. They're not going to go into it in depth. Like, there's no need to. We're normalizing the fact that we exist. We're normalizing the fact that that should be very important that we exist. The fact that it shows that we exist and it's done in a normal way, where it's not like, it's the same as if a straight couple were kiss. If we had like the straight kiss in a video game, like everyone's like, oh, that's so cute, and then they just move on. It's like we need that same type of attitude when it comes to the LGBT community as well.
If a straight couple kisses in a video game or a movie, it's just what it is. If it happens to a gay couple, people go, oh, why do you have to put your agenda in my movies, or my games? It's a problem. It's a problem. I also want to address Samus's point. Yeah, Samus, we're more than just pickles and titty skittles.
Pickles? Wait, what? What?
Being trans.
Oh.
There's a joke amongst the trans community that we all love pickles.
Specifically trans girls, yeah, we love pickles.
So, okay.
I know it's. We also didn't.
I know it's a bring for
address
snack time.
Beacon's note. I want to get back to it, but we can put a pin in it for now.
Yeah. Oh, I know who he's talking about. It's in One Piece.
Character. Oh, in One Piece. Okay.
It was Mr. Two Bon Clay. Yeah, he was a drag character. He was a character in drag. He was a drag queen, and he was first technically presented as the villain, but he was actually very respectful of every single one of the main heroes' characters.
Think of a random anime example, like Orochimaru is very feminine in Naruto. It's super feminine. My goodness.
I asked the question again. What that tongue do though?
What that tongue do though?
Like we went after. Like I will keep.
You're wondering about the tone of the stream. There it is.
We talked about Giraham. We talked about Orochimaru. Like any character that has a long. That's another thing that I realized. Sometimes any effeminate character has a very long tongue for some reason, and I'm just like, that's a physical trait that I didn't know was possible.
That's anti-snake stigmatizing. Snakes are adorable.
They are.
We stand snakes here.
Danger noodles.
Danger noodles.
Little swoop noodles. So cute.
Just the other day you were crying about snakes. They don't have any arms.
Oh, Steven. Steven.
Oh my
God. I died. I think, babe, I grabbed you when that happened. I was just like, babe. I usually have a gay flag next to me. I brought it to work and I left it there. But I do have my ace flag over here. Kari's got the trans flag in her bedroom.
Yep.
I do.
And I have my bisexual flag in my bedroom, so we got that.
We out here repping. It's frogphobic. It's phobic. Oh
it's
boy,
phobic.
That could be frogphobic or frophobic.
You're scared of afros?
Fros are cool. Fros are cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
They protect the environment. They do something to the weather.
All right. So my next topic on this, was there any okay? So were there any characters that you were questioning? Were there any video game characters you questioned about their sexuality that you weren't sure specifically?
Oh yeah.
Any video game characters where I question their sexuality? 90% of Final Fantasy characters.
Well,
yeah.
I'm trying to think of specific examples. Like I would. There's a lot of. I played a lot of Overwatch and Apex Legends, and I feel like a lot of those characters will read pretty queer. But then I ask myself, what does that even mean? There's such a wide range of representation. But babe, do you have any examples?
Do we have an answer on Bangalore yet? Like,
God, Bangalore screams.
Zarya?
Oh, Zarya.
Like
Zarya
there's a
is like
lot.
150,000%
Butch coded.
gay butch, like I will crush you lesbian.
So is Bangalore. Uh,
Yeah,
uh, Chloe Fraser.
Chloe
Uh,
Fraser. Wait, who's
uh,
Chloe Fraser?
from Uncharted, and
Oh,
what's her name? Was it Chloe and Naomi or
oh my God. She doesn't even look like seeing her do anything remotely straight feels weird to me.
feels weird? It feels weird to see, right?
She's screaming, and then she's put in a game alongside
Nadine.
another female character, and you're like, here we go. They're gonna. I mean, I haven't played Lost Legacy,
I've only
so I
played
don't know
like
if they
half of it.
do, but I don't know. Naughty Dog did do Last of Us, and Last of Us has queer representation.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't finish Last of Us 2, so like I know there was a lot of controversy. I don't know exactly what it's about. If someone spoils it for me, they spoil it for me, but try not to. Do your best. Do your best.
Do your best. Just do your best. Don't do it.
Try.
A character that I questioned in sexuality was this is gonna be a funny one. I was playing Mega Man 8 and they introduced us to a robot master by the name of Aquaman. Had a very high effeminate voice
Jason
and
Momoa.
literally just sprayed water and made a little rainbow with his name on it, and I'm like,
Oh, that screams gay.
and bear in mind, in the history of Mega Man games, the water robot master has always been a woman.
Ooh.
mm,
Ooh. See, here we go. There's that knowledge that I wouldn't
Wasn't
have.
it?
no, ironically enough. There was only technically one woman that was a robot master in the original Mega Man out of the robot masters, and that was Splash.
Which one?
I believe that was Splash Woman. She was in 9. She was in 9.
Kari, I think you're talking throughout the Mega Man series, right?
I
Is
might
that
be
what you're
talking
referring
about. I might be talking because there's definitely the one from Mega Man X, or no, not sorry, Mega Man Zero.
to?
Mega Man 0, yes, there was a female.
She's
There will be
water,
the
ice.
yeah. You're talking about the Mega Man 0
She
Hi,
confused
series.
this
me like
is
100
entirely out of
times.
my element. This is between you two. Also, let me make
But
sure I'm hosting you.
oh, no worries.
Oh right.
But all in all together,
Boom with the host. Boom with the host. Boom, boom with the host.
thank you guys. Thank you guys.
There you are. Oh, look at you. Look at you.
Just there we go.
Here's the thing about seeing a character as gay, as a queer person. We want to see everyone as gay.
It's like
You're not wrong.
And then at least between me and Kari, we're just like anything remotely queer coded, we're just like, oh, they looked at each other
I'm all
funny.
over it.
There it is. Hito, I'm disappointed in you, says Mikan.
oh, you want me to bring? Oh, you want me to?
Waifu.
Oh, he wants me to bring up.
Waifu.
He wants me to bring up Vivian from Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year-Old Door.
Oh, Vivian, yes. Thank you, Mikan.
I was saving that Mekon because hello.
I
Okay,
can see that.
so the reason why I was not bringing up Vivian is because one, we throughout Paper Mario, Vivian was always a topic of talk. At one point where they had a Rule 34 discussion, I was like, guys, can we chill? Can we maybe chill? But to get further into the situation, the reason why I didn't bring up Vivian is because in America, Vivian's purely female, which that's the translation I grew up with.
Mm.
Finding out later in my life through the European version and the Japanese version, Japanese version, feminine male, as opposed to Europe, they literally put Vivian as trans. Specifically the Italian, specifically the Italian version.
I mean, go Europe. I remember hearing that a while ago, and I completely forgot about it. Also, 1,000 Year Door is like one of the best games ever. If you haven't played it, go find a way. But yeah, she's a fantastic example. My brain pops. Now that we're on Nintendo, my brain comes up with Birdo and Daisy. Birdo is canonically trans.
Yep. Which I want to say one more
But Birdo's
thing.
a villain.
I want to bring
Birdo's
something
a
up
villain.
too.
Say your thing.
Say your
thing.
Vivian was technically a villain with the Shadow Sirens starting out and didn't join Mario until later in the game. So it still goes on to somewhat of the trope of the villain has that type of je ne sais quoi.
Isn't Poison canonically trans? Yeah.
Poison is canonically trans.
hi, Kari.
Poison is
Hi,
canonically trans.
Poison. Cause she's poison. Daisy's
even
confirmed
play
tomboy
a
with
lot of
Luigi's story. Yeah, but she's
Final
bi.
Fight.
Daisy's bi. Headcanon.
Headcanon? Wait, really?
In my head,
In my
Daisy's
head.
bi. 100%.
Listen, let me have this, okay?
Give
We
it
do
to
have
me.
poison though. Samus is right.
Yeah.
Poison and fairy.
Okay.
Honestly, there's a gay for every
No.
Pokemon type.
No. Poison from Final Fight and Street Fighter.
Oh, like literally, actually, like
Yeah,
the character.
The
Yeah.
pink-haired girl with.
Oh, okay. I thought you were.
She has the right. She has the
I thought
riding
you were talking
crop.
about the type.
Like she has the riding crop. She's wearing
Yeah.
the police hat. She has handcuffs on her short shorts.
In
you
the
know.
new game, she has a riding crop. In the original game, she had a whip.
Just which. Oh, I'm gonna go over something really. Okay, so this is another one that people would literally go into, and it was the fact that So Final Fight was a very classic game, but so was Double Dragon. And this is where things kind of became a little bit of a double standard. And this is where things got a little really ridiculous. So in Double Dragon, you're allowed to punch Linda, lashing Linda, whip crazy Linda. But in Final Fight, poison was completely removed in the Nintendo version. Because it would seem like you're hitting a woman, but you're allowed to hit a woman in some of the games. In the thing, it's like like she's a fighter. Like they're all fighters. Like here's the thing: I'm not identifying them by their gender. I'm identifying them by what they are doing. They are fighting. They are capable fighters. You know what I mean?
You've got a point.
Let me respond to Mikan.
Yeah. Wait, what?
100%. There it is.
100%.
Sylveon's trans-colored.
Yeah.
I just popped open a quick list, and I was reminded that, or not reminded, but informed. Jacob Fry, the main character from Assassin's Creed Syndicate, is bi. I didn't know that. And he's a character. He's a character that you can't alter their looks. You have to play as him. So that's interesting. That's way to go, Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Yeah, that's good.
I know the main character from Odyssey, regardless of your gender, they can have same-sex relationships.
Yeah.
Now,
but there's a game we forgot to bring up. Borderlands.
There's a few.
Borderlands has some pretty solid queer representation.
Borderlands. I heard Oralands, and I'm like,
Borderlands. that's the yoga-centric spin-off of Borderlands.
It needs to calm down a bit. We're fine. But yeah, Borderlands does have some really cool queer representation in the game.
If we have a moment, I have one too, actually.
Yeah. What's that?
Indivisible.
Oh.
Indivisible. Not only is are there at least two lesbian or bisexual women, but the relationship between the two of them is absolutely relatable because one of them just turns into a complete queer idiot every time she's in the other one's presence.
Yeah.
She stumbles over her words. You see in the cutscene,
I remember you gushing over her.
Yeah, it's Baozai and Tarani. It's great. All of their interactions are phenomenal.
Okay, I actually have another question for this.
Ooh, drop it.
What is one game that you were not expecting queer representation, and it was done normally?
Last of Us.
Honestly, yeah.
That's the first one that I wasn't expecting it from Last of Us. I'm trying to think of another one. Because that's gonna be the one that we bring up a lot. Because it was done subtly. Like it wasn't just like she's a queer character. It's barely even mentioned in the first story. It's only mentioned it's only brought up in the DLC. And then in Last of Us 2, it's just a core part of her character.
Okay.
Same as you can romance most romanceable characters in Fallout. Oh. Elder Scrolls has LGBT rep. Thieves Guild has a Somerset DLC has you searching for a woman's brother. Oh, cool.
So
yeah, Elder Scrolls is a pretty big game, so I imagine that they'd find a way to slip in something.
I do have one.
Oh,
LGBT rep in a game that I never expected it and did it. I gotta admit, did it pretty well. Tekken.
Oh, Tekken.
There's a character named Leo that you come to find out is canonically transmasc non-binary, and I believe in one of the game's cutscenes it references this. I don't know the cutscene exactly, but I know for a fact that the character is canonically transmasc non-binary.
I do have one. I was not expecting this in the game, by the way. But this is an old game. It's an old Rockstar game. And it's not Grand Theft Auto. It's it's Bully.
Oh, I heard good things about Bully.
So here's the funny thing. In Bully, you're playing as Jimmy Hopkins. You are going around in school trying to be basically the baddest bitch of them all in the school. Basically be the top in the school that will, don't fuck with me. Basically the don't fuck with me amount. And literally, when I think about that, you actually have the option to not only kiss all the random women and all the random female students in the school, you can kiss the male students too. It's done normally. It's done respectfully. Not even the characters look at you and start making fun of you or anything. It's just done in a normal light. Like, oh, he kissed a dude. That's fine. That's great. You know what? Go you.
They're not bullying you for that.
Yeah, exactly. They're not belittling me for that. Hell, they don't even start anything. It's just done normally. It's like, okay, this is fine. And I'm like, there's no one cheering. There's no one going, oh, yeah, that's so awesome. That's so cool. It's done normally. And it's done very subtly. And I'm like, this is how it should be. This is how it should be. Like, oh my God.
No, I hear you.
It's done so subtly. It's done so tastefully, too. It's like, oh, if you want to kiss the male student, you could just go ahead and do that. Like, you don't have to worry about it. No one's gonna, make a scene. No one's gonna start cheering. It's just, you kiss the male student and that's it. That's all there is to it. And also to answer Mikan's question, I am a Kuma main.
There you go. Another game that I didn't know about until I saw another streamer playing it was Tell Me Why. I might have heard about it briefly, but it didn't draw me in because the game wasn't in your face about the queerness of one of the characters. And I don't want to spoil it because it's not revealed initially. So if you play Tell Me Why, also from the same people who did Life is Strange, there's a character with pretty solid representation. I don't want to spoil what it is.
It's funny. You said the game.
It's really cool.
You said the game was Tell Me Why, and I was so tempted. So tempted.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but I'm like, don't do it.
I was singing it before you stream. I think you muted us, or you deafened yourself, and I was just like, tell me why. Because I had the page open here just to make sure it was actually the same developer as Life is Strange. And apparently the newest Life is Strange, True Colors, is also going to have some solid queer representation. But I feel like Don't Nod Studios is just, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're going to bring you the gay.
Bring everyone the gay and treat it normally. Don't cheer for it. Don't make a scene for it. Just treat it normally. That's all we got to say. It's treat the gay.
That's 90s kids.
Just exactly, don't treat the gay like it's a pariah. Treat it like you would a normal kiss. It's fine.
Don't treat it like a pariah. Treat it like it's on fire. No. Well, stop it.
Go ahead and drop bars.
Drop bars.
Candy bars. Fun accidental LGBT in the PS2 game of the first Spider-Man movie. You can unlock playing as Mary Jane. If you beat it, she kisses herself.
That's just narcissistic.
That's just self-love.
She's just dating herself. It's fine.
Yeah, you gotta love yourself. Even if you gotta smooch yourself.
Just gotta smooch yourself just a little bit.
I'm sitting on a bunch of games to talk about.
Oh
Yeah,
wait,
we got
Miss
some time.
Mango, your oh, never mind. Your camera's back. I was like, your camera froze for a sec, but it's back now. You're fine.
I can just pretend it's frozen.
Just
Oh boy, what's a conversation without a little bit of fun, huh?
exactly.
Not fun.
Okay, back to serious business. Back to brass tacks, folks. Break
So
out the pocket protectors and the loose leaf notebooks. We're gonna get into this. Greg and Angus from Night in the Woods. Isn't the
yes,
main character from Night in the Woods also queer?
yes. They
I never
have
finished it.
so they have insinuated that May is bi because of her relationship with B.
Hmm.
Is confirmed pan. There we go.
Pan.
There you go.
Ooh, very nice. Bravo.
There you go. That it was either
Paige,
bisexuality or
show off
pan.
that pan flag.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pen going under.
Going
Um,
under. Yes.
but yes, I love Greg and Angus's relationship a lot.
Hmm.
It's treated normally. It's not like a big, oh my God, are they gay? But when you go into their stories, especially Angus's
Ooh.
backstory, which gets really, really sad, you find out why Angus is considered an atheist. And
Mhm.
it's very much it's a very sad story in general when you find out why Angus is atheist.
Yeah, I'm planning to play it at some point.
Yeah,
Hopefully this summer.
I'm not gonna spoil that because it's a really good story. And
Kanji from Persona 4.
now here's the thing. Now Kanji is a very good character to go over in Persona 4. He likes cute things, he likes adorable things, he likes sewing, things that are not considered manly. But he lashes out at people who automatically assume that he's gay for liking those effeminate things. It's like you can't sew, you can't make dolls, you can't do things because if you do that, it comes off very messed up. And actually, with Kanji's distortion in his shadow world, he's seen as being very effeminate and letting it out to the point where he's in a whole bunch of roses, he's just wearing a loincloth, he's being the very overly effeminate, villainized gay person in any type of Disney or video game.
Masculinity is a
That-
conversation in and of itself.
Yeah, definitely.
And we could sit here, we could do an entire like talk on that one.
Hell, even his
Um,
stage is a bathhouse.
Ooh, see, I've never played the Persona series at all, but it's kind of cool seeing the insight into some of these characters. I was gonna bring up Celeste,
Oh, definitely bring up
the
Celeste.
creator of Celeste. When they were making the game, she wasn't canonically trans, but neither was the creator. And the creator came out before the last DLC and realized that they were writing her like they were writing themselves. And they realized that in retrospect, Madeline, the main character, is canonically a trans character.
Mm.
And she's the main character, and she's playable.
Yep.
Love it.
I actually like the concept of Celeste because Celeste also gets to technically face and befriend her demons in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's-
Common misconception: Celeste is the name of the mountain.
Yep.
I do that all the time. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, I love
but-
Celeste with her little blue jacket. I'm like, wait a minute, nope, wrong.
But I
I'll
love
learn
the
that by trying to buy
representation
you
of it.
gifts.
I love the representation of Madeline in that game because she technically befriends her demons and slowly starts to accept and love herself. It's a very vague yet very forward way of thinking of loving yourself. And she finally got to that point where she was loving herself, that it was granting
I
her
almost wouldn't call
to
it
soar to
vague.
himself.
It's very in your
Yeah.
face about it towards the end.
Yep. Like it's
Strong mental health game. Strong game in support of destigmatizing mental health.
actually
Yeah, I'm with that, Mikan. Better representation on how you can dress in games.
actually there is one character that is considered bisexual in Animal Crossing. Isabel.
Is there?
Isabel.
Really?
Yeah. So Isabel has what we call a girl. Now here's the thing: it's supposed to be canon, but I also
Uh-huh.
think it's
You
just
tell.
Okay, so I think it's just admiration, but at the same time, it's canon that Isabel is considered bisexual because she has girl crushes. She has very much not so, I mean, like very obvious girl crushes on some of the female characters in Animal Crossing. It's
And
also
she's a good donkey.
she's a good hey,
Oh my god, Mikan.
but
I mean,
essentially,
she is the goodest.
yeah. We have a few more characters to go into. There is one specifically
Oh,
that I'm trying to remember. I played this game earlier. Oh God! Don't drop it! Don't drop it! Don't drop the Uncrustables on the floor,
don't drop.
guys.
Oh
No,
no.
no.
But
Save the Uncrustables.
Save the Uncrustables. What did they do? What did they do, babe? Deep fry them?
Deep.
Put a hole in them?
Mm-hmm. Make an Uncrustables donut.
Jeez, too much. Slow down.
I'll get my donut holder.
Gracie in the game Cube. Gracie was male, but in the
Mhm.
other game was listed as female. Oh,
Yep.
I didn't know that. She was the giraffe, right?
The giraffe, which I was actually going to go into that
It
next
was him.
question. That was the next question, which was, what character did you feel bad for being written off as a female when you know for a fact they were not female and they were considered trans?
I mean, we have Vivian. We were talking about
Mhm.
Vivian earlier. We brought up Birdo as a canonically trans character, but Birdo's in Enemy is just an interesting tidbit about their character. Otherwise, they don't really have any sort of like real deeper canonical story like background.
Mhm.
Trying to think of other ones.
Flea
Characters that are
is another one.
obviously trans or could be trans.
Flea was
Missed
another one from
opportunity.
Chrono
Babe, do you
Trigger.
have any?
Not that I can think of, just like off the dome.
Cloud.
Cloud could 100% have been written as a woman.
Cloud has a journey of self-discovery into the woman that she was meant to be.
Mm,
Cloud becomes sun.
preach.
Clouds clear away. Birdo in the original manual said he thinks he's a guy. Yeah, I remember it was something like that. I remember that. Veronica Santangelo from New Vegas is confirmed lesbian, but she's forced to give up the love of her life. Yeah,
So
we
this is
can
referring to the game Misery.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna bring that up. Like every other gay relationship, if not more, just ends up resulting in tragedy.
Some
But
sort
we
of
could dive into that more if we wanted to stay on this subject.
Definitely. There is another character that works with this. Ferris Schwerwitz from Final Fantasy V.
Final Fantasy.
So I'm also looking at my research that I have as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can actually just show it if anything. Let me see if I can show it. I like
No,
to
totally.
I
Go
like to
for it.
I like to show things.
I actively seek so many games that do have queer representation that I feel like all the examples I come up with do have healthy representation.
True, yeah.
All right, so
You know?
I'm gonna
These
show
are the
you
ones
guys.
we look for.
I'm actually gonna show you guys this because I didn't actually remember this character until I saw the game. But we have Ferris Sherwitz. Ferris can be better described as gender non-conforming, but she's incredibly noteworthy inclusion regardless. Ferris was raised at sea by pirates who raised her as a man. She basically went through what Hito went through in Fruits Basket.
Interesting.
Essentially, she inconsistently refers to herself with masculine and feminine pronouns. This concept of women living as men in order to take on their professions is a familiar theme that will be revisited later in games such as Guilty Gear and Persona 4. Which, we brought up kanji, yet we didn't bring up Naoto. And this is another question where I'm going to go into as well. This is a very important question too. What characters did you feel that had to suppress their identity to be taken seriously?
Like canonically?
Canonically.
Characters who had to suppress their identity to be taken seriously.
Like, I'm gonna bring up Naoto right now because this is a
Mhm.
very this was a very bad once again, in Persona 4, there's a lot of narratives that go into diving into someone's mental psyche and how they are feeling
Not
things.
Captain Falcon. Captain Falcon is a gay icon. Zelda, How to Become
Oh,
Chic. Ooh, okay.
yeah.
That version of Zelda, I would say is canonically either bigendered or trans or non, just gender, definitely gender non-conforming, for sure.
But yeah,
Um,
to continue Naoto's story, essentially it's he dressed up she dressed up as a man to be taken seriously in the police force because she was technically a junior detective that was doing really well in the police force, catching criminals, etc., etc. But she made it clear no one in the force would take a woman seriously. So I had to personify the prince of detectives, literally going into that, just to
Night
be taken
Samus.
seriously.
Good night, Samus.
Hey, Samus.
Then someone else says Night Samus, and I'm like, huh?
But yeah,
Um,
that's another way to technically put that character under there. It's essentially just Naoto is one of those characters that has to change up her identity just to be taken seriously.
how do you spell that? Nauto?
Naoto.
OTO.
Mhm.
From Persona 4. I
Yep.
see. Very non-binary.
Which, funny enough, they did have the beauty contest where the swimsuit contest with all the female characters, and they hinted that Naoto binds her chest really, really hard to the point where she cannot breathe sometimes because at the end of the day, she got popularity for the swimsuit she was in. She won the popularity contest for that.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
I know,
It's like they're saying it's like they're saying once she expressed herself in a more feminine way, she became more accepted.
which was yeah, like
Because
it's a
kind of a
it's a
hmm.
hard pass because at the end of the day, it's like she's actually identifying with her feminine side and now understanding that she can also be taken seriously as a female. But at the same time, in the beauty contest, just because she got revealed for her physicality, she won a contest. It's very back and forth when you think about it.
Very controversial, I can see. And you could look at that two ways. I feel like it could be yeah, she might have had some what's the term? Almost like self-inflicted sexism, where
Hmm.
she felt like as a woman she couldn't be taken seriously.
Yeah.
But also just she could have just felt afraid to suppress her true, more tomboyish self. No,
Yeah.
I don't really know the character super well,
Now
so it's
I
hard to comment.
now I will say this in defense of Naoto, she didn't want to sign up for that contest anyway. The boys kind of tricked all the female characters to do it. So
That was the plot. Well,
yeah,
there you go.
yeah, that was the plot.
But like I said,
that was her whole
I
plot.
haven't played the game.
Yeah,
This is 4, right?
yeah. This is 4.
Wow. So how many gender nonconforming women did they have? Because I would argue that Chie is also gender nonconforming.
And yes, she's still
She's
considered
very tomboyish.
she's very tomboyish, but she still considers herself female. She doesn't like that people get dog on her for her tomboyishness. She's still considered a girl. She's like, listen, I'm still a pretty girl at the end of the day. I just don't like things that usual pretty girls will like, which would be like being more proper and respectful and, showing all of the good mannerisms. She's more like, hey, what's up? How's it going? I like martial arts and meat.
Yeah.
I like punching
I
things.
didn't finish the
Sometimes
game,
I
but
punch
Chie
by
was by
me.
far my favorite.
Like, I like Chie for that reason.
Yeah, 4 is definitely one of the specifically Persona 4 is one of the games I've wanted to get into for a long time.
All right,
But
fuck it, I'm buying it.
you're just gonna buy it.
It's on sale right now on Steam.
How much is it? I mean, everything's on.
$12.99.
Oof.
Yeah.
Get
Persona
it.
4 Golden.
Guys,
Get it.
are we witnessing just someone buying a game right now on the chat? This is the first.
I mean,
Well, now I gotta do it.
speaking of which, we are, for anyone in chat, we do have a giveaway set up for tonight. I don't know if you wanted to talk about it, Hito.
That's right. Miss Mango will be supplying a Steam key for Eichenfell. And if you guys are in the chat today, you can win a copy of Eichenfell.
Eichenfell is a super duper positive queer representative game. And those are the kind of games that I play a lot, like games that do have healthy representation of queer characters. There are characters who are of alternate of non-gender conforming pronouns. There are characters who are have varying sexualities, and they're normalized. It's not a core part of the story. It's just there. You know, one of the characters goes by he or they. They're non-binary, but they go by he. So they're male representing non-binary. There's a character who's Zer. Really cool stuff. Mikan says, "Oh,
Gun Vault.
I actually
Is-
want to go into this a little bit. When somebody considers
are you
themselves,
Mikan?
oh, I'm disappointed. Wait, what? Why? What did
Do
we
tell."
do? Tell, share with us. We forgot Alphys and Unda.
Undine
Oh, from Undertale. He's talking about
from
Undertale.
I've never played
okay.
Undertale.
Well, I haven't played through Undertale, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring up Undertale because there is some toxicity, not only from the fandom, but also the fact that there's a lot of shipping that goes crazy in Undertale, which is essentially just it's all over the place. It can be somewhat sloppy. I love Undertale.
Gotcha.
Don't get me wrong; it's one of my favorite Earthbound Earthbound-esque games.
It's definitely a game that I've heard like a million good things about, and I've started a file, but yeah, I've avoided spoilers for the game, so like I don't really know a whole lot about the characters. Like I've actively avoided learning about the characters.
Yeah. Also, Mikan, Alphys is technically considered bi, because she also has an attraction towards Asgore, which is confirmed in the game. Like she has a lot of crushes. She's kind of in the middle of a few crushes and ships because of what is presented in the game. So that's kind of where I kind of said that the shipping and the relationships and the bonds can be done very sloppily in Undertale. I enjoy the game for its story and its message, but at the same time, it can be very sloppy when it comes to forming those type of relationships. When it comes to shipping / bonds all together, it can be very sloppy at times. Another character we can go over in the Guilty Gear series, which one of my favorite characters to play is Bridget.
Bridget.
I love me some Bridget.
Bridget?
Yep.
Yo, your face.
Question mark.
So Bridget is a feminine man who likes to dress as a nun completely by habit. Just by habit.
Did you say by habit?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
There's in Bridget's lore, they explain why his family brought him up that way.
Yeah.
It is really hard to picture Bridget in my head and say him. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Bridget uses he, him pronouns.
Which I'm going to now bring up something, and this is a hot take. This is something that I'm trying to also get out of people's vocabulary at times, especially in my chat. How do you feel about the terminology that is used in video games and anime as well? The term trap.
Ooh.
What is your honest feeling on that?
Ooh.
If someone wants to use it in reference to themselves, in a way that isn't self-deprecating, that's entirely on them. But I feel like it sort of further propagates this idea that trans people are trying to trick you, which could be dangerous.
It's a really bad malform of someone's identity, and it's being used as a way to like essentially go, hey, our main purpose for our identity is to trick someone. That's not true though.
Yeah, I personally don't like the term, but some people want to use it. Some people want to reclaim it for themselves. But on a personal level, I don't think it's a good choice to use it in any way.
All right, Kari.
Honestly, Manga really nailed it on that one. I 100% agree. I know some people that use it for themselves as an empowering a term of empowerment, and they don't use it in that self-deprecating way, as Mango was mentioned,
Mhm.
and it's one of those type of things. It's like a personal preference, but I don't
Yeah.
think you should call anyone else a trap
Yeah.
unless they give you permission. They're fine with it. You know they're fine with it. Even then, I still don't
It's
know.
a
I mean, there's
very
that.
it's a very shaky thing to say to
Yeah,
use. It's very much a term where it's very shaky to use.
Pretty touchy. Yeah.
because you've got a
There's
whole
a few
community of
terms like that.
people. You got a whole community of people who nowadays you've got the people who are arguing, well, no, traps aren't gay, and they're just saying that to try and like make themselves feel better about their own insecurities. And I'm like, that's not gay or not. That's not necessarily how this works at all.
Um,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Mika, but I feel like the issue here is that if there's any sort of
media.
use the term trap out there, like he just says, media with the so-called traps in them, then people who don't know any better and are transphobic get it in their heads that there are people out there trying to trick them, and then if they fall for someone who passes, um who's trans but passes as a cis person, and then they find out in a setting where they're by themselves, it could lead to violence or worse. So it's a dangerous terminology, and I think it should be shelved.
There's
I think
one
Mika is absolutely right.
there's one game in particular that mistook that term and used it to describe one character that they've gone in depth with at the very least before they died off the game. In Danganronpa, we have a character by the name of Chihiro Fujisaki. Chihiro was a boy who would dress female. Now, the reason why he dressed female was because as a kid he grew up where he was treated like, oh, you're a man, you're supposed to like man things, you're supposed to do this. So a way mentally for him to cope was to dress female. I'm like, you called me weak, you called me disrespectful, this is the only way I will be left alone. And looking at it at that mental state, people were like, oh yeah, Chihiro's a total trap. I'm like, that's not the point of why Chihiro dresses as a female. Like, you have to understand where the character and where the development is coming from in somebody before you start going off using such very shelved terms that should be shelved in that situation. This is why I brought up that topic, because there's also terminology that's used in video game media. There are terminology that are used in regular show media. And essentially, it's bringing out the fact that understanding the person beneath what they appear on the outside and understanding what's in the inside. You should never call somebody a trap, specifically if they have a very strong reasoning for why they dress the way they do, why they identify the way as they do. I think that's a very important thing to remember. When people use the term trap, you're kind of sweeping who they truly are under a rug, and it's not a good thing.
No, I hear you. I thought my camera froze for a second. Sorry.
You're right.
But no, any term like that, not just trap, but also just any sort of stereotyping of trans and gender non-conforming people can be dangerous, or just downright unhealthy. Because as you can see, there are all shades and forms and different types of trans and gay and queer people in general. And it's really easy to like from my personal experience as a trans person, I'll get a lot of questions like, have you seen, oh, do you watch RuPaul's Drag Race? Do you watch RuPaul's Drag Race? Do you watch RuPaul's? I've never seen a single episode of RuPaul's Drag Race in my life. I mean, for one, I've heard heinous things about RuPaul, so I probably never will. But I'm just not really interested in drag. I'm not interested in doing drag. I don't even really wear a lot of makeup. I have nothing against the drag community at all. I think it's fantastic. I think I love there's that program where they have there's a woman or there's a drag queen who will read to kids in a library and open the minds of children to various forms of gender expression while just reading them books. And I think that's great.
That's definitely
But
beautiful.
there's a lot of like, misconceptions that like all trans people are overtly feminine or all trans people are drag queens. And it's like, it's just not true.
Funny enough, the term for drag is for both sexualities. So at the end of I mean,
Yeah.
for both gender
Be a
identities, for
drag
all
king.
sexuality, you could be a drag king. So when people are referring to trans people as drag queens or drag kings in that matter, it's like, so you're saying that they're going over the. I refer to drag as over the top, an over the top look. You are dressing overly.
It's the extreme representation of that gender.
Exactly. So essentially, when it comes down to it, you're not describing, when you're calling a trans person a drag queen or a drag king, you're kind of disrespecting who they identify as. Identifying who you are and dressing overly flamboyant or overly over the top are two separate things.
And then sometimes your expression doesn't necessarily match your personality. You might dress very femininely, but not act very feminine.
Exactly.
I just think there's so many different, like Babe, for example, like right now you're dressed very femininely.
But
I
earlier
would
today, I was
argue.
dressed more like a butch.
Yeah, and like you have interests and traits that are not always traditionally feminine. Like people would argue that like fighting and martial arts are not typically feminine interests.
And
Like stuff
it's
like
like,
that.
what people need to understand, not to turn this into a whole discourse on transness, but
I mean, that's what we're here to talk about.
every single gender expression that exists under the sun that applies to cisgendered people can, does, and will apply to transgender individuals.
There you go.
There you go.
It's that simple. Yet I have friends who are trans women and they are butch presenting, and you get questions like, well, if you were going to be a butch, why didn't you just stay a boy? And I just
Stay a
want to
boy.
choke them. And it's
Well,
like, that's
yeah.
not what it's about.
Like, you're free to express any type of way you want to express yourself. I.e. being your clothing, i.e. being your makeup, i.e. being how you present yourself on the outside. But who you are on the inside is who you are on the inside. And don't ever let
Exactly.
anybody tell you that your outside has to match your inside, because it doesn't have to.
I think we had Eileen Seria a while back and a few people playing Calico.
Mm.
And earlier today, Manx-a-Lot was playing Ooblets. And there was a lot of talk of, in both of those games, characters with really varied representation. And like their chosen pronouns don't always line up with how they represent. Some of them might be he, they, but they look feminine and dress feminine. And some of them might be they, them, and dress however the heck they want. Some very extremely feminine or extremely masculine. And it's a spectrum, a wide spectrum, and going in all directions. When it comes to representation, and those are just two games that fit that bill.
Exactly.
Fable 3, you could be gay or lesbian. I gave you light karma if you kiss people. Oh, that's sweet.
That's pretty cool.
And you
And
can be gay in Stardew Valley.
all right, so I actually wanted to go over that game. That was one of the games that I want to talk about. But I was gonna do it in a form of a question. Where is one game that you feel did so? What is a AAA title you felt kind of sweeped an LGBT, a chance to be LGBT representing, and a game that is similar to its type to its AAA title that actually did it correctly? Example, the one I'm gonna bring up. I feel Harvest Moon at the time ruined their chances of representing LGBT as it was getting older and older. But Stardew came out, and Stardew did it right, did it beautifully, did it well represented. Like, Stardew is the better Harvest Moon.
And Stardew isn't even a AAA game. Stardew is an indie.
Exactly.
There aren't a whole lot of like. Babe, did you want to take this one first?
I actually can't think of any, to be honest.
Oh, I'll give you a minute. I'm trying to. There aren't. That's actually part of the problem. There aren't a whole lot of AAA titles that come to mind that have really, really sweeping positive or inclusive LGBTQ representation. Like some of them might have a character or a storyline where they mention a queer character or they mention a trans character. Character.
Sure.
And then there are a lot of games like Mass Effect and Fable, like Mikan says, brings up Fable, where your character can have queer relationships, but the character isn't necessarily canonically gay. They just give you the option. But it really has no sway on the story. That's great. And it's fantastic that they give you that option, but they're also, like, I struggle to think of AAA titles where a main character was queer, and you have to play as the queer character. It's just, that's the main character. That's what you're getting.
I mean,
if you
yeah,
tough noogies if you don't want to play them.
I'm thinking more on like games that could have gone in a more positive direction after like some of the changes that has happened, but didn't.
But didn't.
But didn't. Like another example, Fire Emblem. They included bisexuality of characters. However, there are multiple characters that also identify more as that. But it's once again, felt like swept under the rug, swept onto the thing. Because you're playing as
there's
because you're playing as yourself, technically speaking. When you start the game, you have that character as your representation. When it goes into that and you're trying to represent yourself in that game, it's hard to do that when the game doesn't give you the option to do what it is that you feel comfortable doing.
Okay, I understand the question better now. Yeah, I feel like Fire Emblem's a really good example of that. I remember playing Awakening, and there was a character, I forget her name. She had like purple hair, and her character screamed having a crush on my character, who was female presenting. And they don't give me the option to pursue that relationship. And in Awakening, as far as I remember, I don't think there were gay relationships in Awakening.
That started.
I don't think they had them until later on.
Yeah, they started doing it during Fates, which you were only able to date one male character if you were male, which was Niles.
Yeah, and it's a huge missed opportunity.
Like, yes, I can understand that we could be.
I
think we can understand the fact that we could be probably the only person thinking that in the group, and there's not that many people who identify as bisexual again in the group. But at the same time, it's also like you're giving us. I'm getting mixed signals from some of the other characters. They're like, "Oh, I would be interested in pursuing a life with you," and stuff like that. Like, it's the terminology that is used that makes me think. So, are we doing this? Question mark, and then the game doesn't allow you to do it. It's like,
yeah, it's almost like it dangles it in front of you, and then but never actually presents it to you. I see where you're coming from.
Kari,
yeah, there really aren't a whole lot in the AAA department.
I honestly don't. I don't think I know any. The closest thing I could think of was, as I mentioned before, was the whole thing with Cassandra.
Yeah.
But I can't say that. It is and isn't, because the game does give you options to have queer relationships, just not with the very clearly butch-coded character.
Could it be that
I'm even scrolling through a list of queer representation, and there isn't like a lot.
There's part of me that also
at least in AAA games.
I think there's also part of me that feels that. All right, so I know this is gonna also be me like backpedaling back from all the things I've said so far, but also at the same time, we gotta remember everyone is not that sexual identity as well. So that can also be a way to do it. There's people who will clearly, be that sexual identity, but are not, because again, it goes back to the identity, like how we portray ourselves on the outside, and then how we are in the inside. So I think that also counts for something, and I don't want to discredit that as an also potential thing in this conversation as well. Like, I also just don't want to.
No, I understand.
Yeah, like, it's kind of like
I don't want to just be like, if this person, air quotes, acts gay, they should be gay.
Exactly. I kind of want to also like
But at
have
the same time,
yeah, because I kind of want to also have like that situation where it's like, what if they are not? What if they just want to identify? What if they just want to look the way they want to look, but they still identify as who they love who they love, and it's still a
and that's
yeah.
fine. And I'd love more of that. I love more characters that have stereotypically gay traits, but aren't necessarily queer identifying. But I feel like in order for me to kind of like accept more of that, I would need more actual queer representation.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I would like to
So
say clear representation and also more story regarding that character to understand who they are. I want to understand characters a lot better in the games, if that makes sense. I want to understand why, like for example, I go back to my example of Chihiro Fujisaki.
mhm.
Again, wears female clothing, identified themselves as a girl on the outside, but on the inside they wanted to be a stronger man. The reason why that they wanted to be stronger was because they were told all their life that what he was doing was weak and feminine, which is why he used female clothing, dressing as a girl, as a way to escape that. But secretly wanted to become a stronger person in general, which I understood now where I understand now the character's reason for dressing as a woman. But I also understand this character is now no longer like a 2D person. It's a more third dimensional character, and I understand now why this character is the way they are.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
If it wasn't something you already planned to ask, how do we, as consumers, as gamers, how do we demand and ask for and start to help propagate seeing more of those types of games? You know, I
Well,
feel like
yeah,
we vote with our dollar.
that is true. We do vote with our dollar. Essentially, I think we have, for starters, and a very important one is game companies should have at least some form of tidbits from their consumers as a start. Because take a game like Animal Crossing, for example. It started so beta, so raw. It was a good game, but it could be better. Nintendo took their tips for what could make Animal Crossing a lot better. They gave you ways to upgrade homes. They gave you paths. They gave you all of these customizable things. And it's essentially taking what they learned, and the game evolves throughout time, which is great. Most games that should be done like that, it should be done in a progression, which is fine. For example, older games, not gonna lie, really bad representations of the LGBT community. Very bad representations at some times, to the point where it becomes a little bit kind of a punch to kind of like a punch to the gut to the LGBT, kind of like a little bit of more of a poor representation. So I would say if AAA titles such as like let's say Final Fantasy or Persona are literally trying to up themselves when it comes to their representation, they take what they learned from the last game and they do something a lot better when it comes to identifying these characters. Don't make a 2D character just to like toy around with things, but make a character that's more in depth. I think characters
I see.
would be good.
I get you.
Because once again, when we look at the LGBT community, we look at who we truly identify as. Who we love, not only just who we love, but what our identity is on the inside. And if we can see how a person truly is on the inside in some form of media, we can understand that person a lot better. And ergo, with that type of identification portrayed well in the story, it makes us put our dollar towards that game a little bit more, because now I feel like this has more to it than just this is a character doing a video game. This is a character, we're going through this, that, and the third. There's story behind it.
I agree.
100%.
I was going to make the point of, in addition to what you're saying, having those characters with deeper more ranged expression and representation is also good for people who don't necessarily identify as queer, because it gives them a better example, a healthier example of what a your average LGBTQIA plus person might look or seem like. Like seeing that there's multiple ways to be a queer person is just, it's a gateway into saying, hey, maybe these people are just people,
Exactly. I think, if anything, I think one way for me to see this is back then, like in the olden times, in the olden days.
days.
Remember what I mentioned before earlier about how many people in the LGBT were portrayed as some form of villain in their form of media?
Mm-hmm.
I think because of that, because of the media that people absorbed at that time, we would have people completely also disrespecting people in the LGBT community, such as vilifying them. We're sinners, we're this, we're that, we're this, that, and the third. And when you have that as a media format showing stuff like that, it makes it much more easier for younger generations to have that same hatred towards something they do not understand. That's why having these better themes for identity, for everyone's identity, having these better in-depth stories will help even younger generations understand, oh, so a queer person might look like that, but they can also look however they want to look, and that's
Like
totally
this.
cool.
Or like
Exactly.
that. Or like that. Or that. Or that.
Exactly.
Or here.
Just
Or down there.
right there. But essentially, that's the whole point of everything that like should happen. Like if we have these better in-depth stories instead of, oh, that very effeminate looking person is a villain and is destroying town, that is lighting people on fire, and he kicked a puppy somehow. I don't know. Something random. Something random. But that's literally the whole thing there. Like if we portray them as regular human beings and not as villains, as most people did back in, like, let's say the 80s or 70s, there would be a lot more understanding and respect towards the community.
Mm-hmm.
And once we see more raised representation, then queer people can totally be flawed or villainous, but they can't be the only representation.
Exactly. Like that's where it essentially comes from.
I was gonna say, what other fighting game characters like fit that queer representation?
Platinum.
I know there's a lot.
I'm thinking Platinum from Blaze Blue. Because technically speaking, it's in between technically. I don't want to
I'm less familiar with Blaze Blue.
So Platinum is essentially both male and female possessing one body.
Okay.
Usually referred to as they them sometimes, but depending on what form of the person who is in control of the body at the time will be referred to as their correct pronoun.
Okay.
It's very tricky with
like the DID sitch?
Yes, something like that.
Okay.
But they're both in tune with each other's memories and such. So it's not like, one person forgot the memories of the other personality. It's more like they both know it at the same time.
Oh, okay, yeah, there's a term for that too.
Yeah.
What was the term?
What, DID?
DID.
Yeah.
Dissociative identity disorder?
Yeah, that's the one.
But there's also like OSDD.
Yeah.
Well, that one I don't
which is
know.
It's similar. I'm less familiar with the inner workings of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know a few people who kind of identify in that range.
A few, yeah.
But remember what I'm also remembering what I believe Kari brought up earlier, which was apparently it goes into, again, the LGBT being some form of mental illness, etc., etc. And it's like, at the end of the day, anyone could be afflicted with a mental illness. Not just someone in the LGBT. Someone who is straight can also be like suffering from a mental illness. Hell, mental illness doesn't judge by someone's identity.
Yeah.
Mental illness doesn't discriminate.
Exactly.
At all.
There is a lot of mental struggles, mental health struggles within the queer community.
Well, it's because a lot of it is based on the trauma.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's it's a symptom. It's not the cause.
Exactly. Like, essentially, people are afraid to come out. I don't blame them for that. They come out when they're ready, when they're good and ready. But essentially, because again, as Kari said, the trauma of everything that happens regarding anyone in the LGBT, it's hard to do that. This is why I'm happier now that we are at a time where we have things like the Trevor Project coming in to help those who need that mental support that doesn't have it. We have that for them. We have references.
We have resources today.
Like, we have resources now if somebody's by
Sorry,
themselves. I still remember stuff like, so funny enough, I actually saw something based on Waffle's recommendation, and I saw Pose, which was a really good, I think, kind of taste of understanding how it was back then for someone in the LGBT community, specifically for those who identified as trans. And it was very insightful in some way. It was very insightful.
No, yeah.
Essentially understanding the daily struggles of someone who is who identifies as trans. Example being, oh, they have to pass, oh, they have to this, oh, they have to do that. And those who don't pass, they get discriminated even harder against. And it's, I again, to this day, I still find that complete bullshit. If you identify as who you are, you identify as who you are. That's it. No questions asked.
Yeah, just let people be people.
This once again goes into that expression of identity over outer appearance.
Hito, did you have any other questions lined up? Because I probably have a few.
No, go for it. I don't have any. We've gotten through 5 of my big questions right now. You guys are welcome to ask any other questions that you have teeming through your head right now. Which
cool, because I wanted to ask you and Kari.
Before you ask that question, I just want to make this clear to anyone watching this. Today, we're not doing a tier list or any type of list altogether, because I feel this is a serious conversation we should all have as a discussion and as a group. So everyone who is
I thought there's no room for a tier list here.
Exactly. So everyone who is like in our chats right now and talking and bringing up any questions, you guys are also welcome to ask any questions as well. Because honestly, this is just a discussion for everyone here. And honestly, the point of today's episode is to bring awareness to...
Hello, Marcy.
It's more to bring awareness towards... it's more important to bring awareness towards LGBT identification, especially during Pride Month. But as I always say, it doesn't matter what month it is. Always keep your knowledge thirsty, because you want to always... build the knowledge up as much as you can.
For that knowledge.
You want to be thirsting for that knowledge. You want to always learn the lessons, and it's very important. Wait, we're not doing Best Gay 2021, JK.
No, that's next month.
That's next month. That's next week. What are you talking about? But yeah, so essentially that's why we're not doing a tier list this time around. That's essentially what it is. Also, as we mentioned before, there will be a giveaway thanks to Miss Mango. We'll be giving out a copy of Eichenfell on Steam, so be sure to stay on and enter that competition.
Mikon says, was there ever a character in a game you would have preferred be straight? I can't imagine.
It's
like, I wish this character was... I can't imagine ever thinking, I wish this character was straight.
I guess the reason why I can't really... Okay, I can answer the question, but essentially I understand why it's a crazy question. The reason why we can't really answer that question, essentially, is because of the fact that we've always had straight representation in the game. It's nothing... it's nothing new.
Yeah, exactly. And then Mikon says, like, they were LGBT but showed no signs of it. Like, they came off more straight than LGBT. Well, Mikon, that's just another form of queer representation. Yeah. There are lots of queer identifying people who aren't going to have personality traits that are stereotypically queer. So that's fine. I actually prefer that kind of not prefer, but like, I want to see more of that representation. Whenever that happens, when there's a character who looks like they're straight, and you find out they're gay, I jump in the air. I'm just like, yes,
hmm
look at that good representation.
Exactly.
Spread the range a little bit wider.
Exactly. It's
But my question was going to be, do either of you have modern games that you think do a really great job of representing queer people?
Night in the Woods. I still have
Night
my
in the
love.
Woods.
So I have my love for Night in the Woods. I still stand by Greg and Angus's relationship. As we went into more detail of how these two are, because both of them are completely different. They are both complete opposites. Angus is the responsible one in the relationship, always making sure the bills are paid, always making sure Greg is okay. Greg is more of the wild child who is trying to reclaim some youth of his thing, including the fact that he will do crimes, quote unquote. It's a game, but he will do crimes as as a joke. But essentially seeing that type of representation and then going to depth of both of their characters and understanding why they are with each other, it's very, very good.
David, do you have any?
I mean, Hades, Mortal Kombat 10. You know,
Oh
they're
yeah, who's the character in Mortal Kombat? I forget.
Kung Jin.
Kung Jin.
Kung Jin. He was actually the first confirmed gay character in Mortal Kombat, but he's struggling, and you don't know why, and it's in a cutscene with I want to say Raiden, and you find out, and it's just like, it's just after that, I don't think they mention it at all again. It just he just is, and you know it, but it has no, yeah, it's just there. There's no like sway in the story or focal point.
Isn't Hades also poly friendly?
I was just gonna say the poly rep in Hades. If you play your cards right, you can get a polyamorous relationship, with a man and a woman.
I mean,
good.
I love when a game goes into more of the poly relationship too, because again, relationships don't just have to be monogamous. There can also be some form of polyamorous relationship. You could be in love with two people and be in a relationship with them at the same time. It's exactly, there you go. Like, look at that. See, we gotta listen. I love all of that. I love all of that. There are also people.
That's something you see almost none of in games.
Exactly. Like hell, I'll even
give you the love triangle.
I love that easy writing trope.
I'll even say even more so on that. I respect a lot of poly relationships. I also respect open relationships too, because you know what? At the end of the day, that's a fine thing to have as well. Like, you trust your partner enough. You guys have this really strong relationship. You can trust an open relationship. Those things count. Like, these are all real things.
Doesn't Monster Prom have a good poly relationship ending?
I think so. I think so.
There's a lot of different positive endings in that game.
Yeah, there's LGBT up in there too. The game's just good.
The game is just, and
the game's just good.
Your character, regardless of their presentation, can identify as whatever pronoun they want, which is really cool.
Mikon actually brings up a really well point. Poly relationships always get you the bad ending in any type of dating sim or visual novel, which is ridiculous. It should never feel like a poly relationship is a bad thing. When you associate it as the bad ending,
it's negatively stigmatizing polyamorous relationships. Yeah. Marzi says poly relationships would be excellent representation of the complex web of human emotions that come with attractions. Yeah. I feel like, polyamory kind of makes sense. I mean, I guess I am polyamorous, so like it makes sense to me. I don't want to project my feelings onto other people, but no one person can be everything to you. So
exactly. I think
it's rude to expect that, to be honest.
Thank you. Like, I think in many situations, and I think we can put this really well, I think we can express this really well. Essentially, you can't expect your partner to be your everything, because there are some things your partner cannot do. i.e., be it their traumas, the things that they grew up with, etc., things that you shouldn't force your partner to do. Because people think, oh, they're in a relationship. That means that partner will do everything and anything for that person. And that's not true, because no one in a relationship should force their partner to do everything and anything in that relationship, especially if that partner is not ready. So
even if you're not poly, that's unhealthy.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's literally why I feel people stigmatize poly relationships, because they think that that's the ultimate way of doing what I just mentioned right now. No one's ready to date two people. No one's ready to be in that situation. That's the whole thing. And it shouldn't
And
be.
then they run around saying, "Oh, you must not be serious about this person," or "Oh, you haven't found someone that you truly want to stay with," and it's like, that's bullshit. No, that's absolute bullshit.
Exactly. Also, yes, sorry,
Mikon, that sounds like
poly.
Mikon, that sounds like your ex may have been using poly in an unhealthy way.
It sounds that way, yeah. Sadly,
You know, it's not, being poly is not an excuse to experiment in another relationship in preparation to leave someone. That's not what it's for.
Exactly. It should never be.
That
no,
doesn't
if there
mean
were
that's what they were
problems in the
doing,
relationship already.
but
Like, that's definitely not a good
just a
look on anything.
forewarning. Aw, Marzi, thank you. No one person can be everything to you. Great thought. Thank you. And Kari said it's rude to expect that as a great follow-up.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know this, but to really sit and lean into that premise. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I feel like we talk about it a lot, so it just comes up. Starry Thrill says that's awkward. My ex accused me of emotional cheating when I began sport. Rude. Rude.
Very rude.
Gross. And manipulative.
Because here's the thing.
A little bit.
Exactly. Like here's the thing. Communication is very important in a relationship, and if you and your partner both discussed any form of polyamory that you wanted to explore just a little bit, you guys both made that commitment towards each other. And if your partner wasn't ready, I guess, for something like that, you can still always talk it over with your partner, and you can still always have that meaningful conversation that's very important in the relationship. Like, having that communication is essentially a very important thing. That's like saying you're entering a relationship, you're going into it with the expectations of open relationships or any form of poly, but you're not ready for it, you're both not ready for it, and you both can talk about it in a very healthy manner where it's like, I think we're ready to try out, but the other person's like, I'm not just ready for that yet. And that's fair. It's okay. You're having this really in-depth conversation with your partner. It's not a bad thing.
And not to assume, it sounds like sorry, Thrill. It sounds like your partner may have said that they were on board, but not actually been. That's kind of, I don't know what the situation was exactly, but that's kind of the feeling I'm getting. Kind of similar to Weekend. Like in reverse, is like they were on board as an excuse to get, get out of jail free card for cheating, which is not what polyamory is. It's not what polyamory is. Pointing at anyone who might think it's an excuse just to have, free like sexual relations with a person.
No, that's an open relationship. There's a big difference between an open relationship and polyamory. Polyamory is where you're able to spread your love with multiple people in a relationship. Example being having 2, maybe 3 partners, maybe more. Who knows? You have different partners, but you are all together in that polyamory. As opposed to an open relationship where you are free to explore while you're in the same relationship with the person you are with. You could be in an open polyam relationship altogether, and you guys are free to explore other partners as well, while you're in a relationship with 3, maybe 4 people. Then that is fine. That is okay.
As long as everyone's consenting, it's perfectly fine. But as soon as someone is not, okay with it, they can communicate that, and then you can move forward from there. Marzi had a point.
I was so lucky to have a partner willing to learn and communicate with me about different levels of emotional attachment, but it took so much time. Minds are squishy, and these conversations can be hard to
Yeah, minds are squishy.
Fun.
I like that. Strings of guilt. That reminds me, there's a game about crocheting. It's like I can't even, here, Y'all talk. I'm gonna look it up. It's really cool. It's a really cool game where like you kind of fly through the level and you like I can't even describe it. Like the whole level is a crochet board and you're kind of like sewing through the level and I can't think of the name of the game. It's on my wish list though.
Is it Unravel?
But you know, my wish list is like 400 games long.
Is it Unravel?
No, it's
okay.
on Steam.
Okay. I was like, that sounds like something from Unravel a little bit, just a little bit. But all in all together, essentially, it's not just important how you identify, it's also important what kind of relationship, the identity of how your relationship is going to work as well. Example being, is this going to be an open relationship? Is this going to be a monogamous one? Is this going to be a polyam? That again, identity is everything when it comes to things, including your relationships with people, includes yourself, and includes understanding the identity in others as well in your relationship. There we go. I was trying to remember the thought and I'm just like, snap, remember.
I remember the word others. It happens.
Yeah.
Forgot the word the.
Yeah, the communication on the dynamics of your relationship it's just such an important conversation to have. Like you have to have that jumping off point to know what is this gonna be, or what is this that you're looking for it to be.
Oh yeah, for sure. You have to be completely communication is important in any relationship, but especially so when you get into polyamory because there's more lives involved.
So essentially, this any more questions we have from any of our group?
I mean, I was gonna say if we could, if there were any other games you could think of, because I wanted to bring up if you could possibly bring up a video of We Are OTK, because there's a really cool bit of representation in that video, and I want everyone to see it.
Ooh, let me check it out. Actually, let's look for it. It should be on YouTube.
We Are OTK. Yeah, it should be.
We are the one turn kill.
God, the trailer is so good, and the music in it.
I love how I looked up We Are the OTK. We Are the OTK, and what happened was I ended up getting. We did. Wait, I don't even know what. Okay, hold on. Did I spell that wrong? Did I spell that right?
It should just be We Are OTK. So like We Are, and then the letter is OTK. I can probably send you the link if you need me to look it up.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to send me the link because for some reason it's giving me TikTok stuff, and I'm like, why are we giving me TikTok stuff?
No, give me 2 seconds because the trailer is like, there's something in the trailer that just like my jaw dropped when it's just blatant, pure, like really, really good representation. Let me see.
Yeah, me excited. I really want to see what you're talking about.
I think I've shared the. Here, let me see. Maybe I'm misspelling the name. Hold on a second. Yeah,
Mikan Pachi, that's called not fairly distributing the emotional labor.
Very important note.
It's extremely important because a relationship is work. Work is labor. It needs to be even.
Definitely. Although I will say this, money shouldn't be an important factor in any relationship, but it does play a part in it in a very, very subtle way that weighs down.
Oh, my bad. It's OFK.
OFK. Okay. Oops. I was like TikTok. I'm like, why is it giving me TikTok?
We are OFK.
Oh, the gaming awards thing?
Let's see. Gaming awards or story reveal trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah, the story reveal trailer is the one.
All right. Let me show this on our intranet.
2, 1, 1, 0. Okay, here we go.
Hi,
Yeah, there it is.
I play piano when I can get someone to actually pay me.
Hito, this house has lawn games. Did you see?
Luca! Hey, it's my friend Luca. Luca is the planet Saturn because he's far away, and Carter is a shooting star.
What's the
because they
music
have
in this
long
game?
Sweaters and do wishes.
Exactly. Thank you, Hito. This is Jay. Jay is scary, but in a hot way, and is also a genius, but for your ears. Sorry for the follow, unfollow.
And just like
What you doing?
right there
Morning.
Everyone
in the
wants that
forefront
list
on the
of
guy's
morning
shirt,
something.
on this
Glad to have
individual
you
shirt.
with
I don't really
us.
know what his pronouns are.
I don't really know what I even want to say with music. You gotta have something to say.
If anything, you're honest. And when you're honest, saying anything is something special.
Oh, stunning.
Might actually try this game out.
Yeah, it's there isn't like a solid release date yet, but they opened the Wholesome Direct with a musical performance from the person who did the music for the game. So if you watch the Wholesome Direct,
Mhm.
which is a collection of mostly indie games that focus primarily on games that are non-violent and inclusive and solidly representational. They open the entire direct with music from that game, and they feature 74 games. I think 74 games that like don't fit your typical like either ultra violent or ultra competitive type of game, and it's just really cool.
Definitely.
And
And
Trans Life Matter front and center, exactly, Marzi.
front and center. Just definitely front and center. All right, I think we're about to start the giveaway now. We're ready.
Ooh, let's do it.
All right, guys. So we're gonna
Iris
do.
Safari.
We are going to do the giveaway right now, this second. That's right. You hear me. I heard what you heard me. You heard what I said. You know what's gonna
If
happen.
you're out there lurking, now's the time.
Now's the time. So, guys, for a copy of Eichenfeld from Miss Mango Plays, exclamation point bear.
Exclamation point bear.
Yep, this is for your Steam. Go for it.
I'm not entering my backlog. It's too big.
I actually don't have the game. Should I enter?
That is
No.
fair.
I mean, Hito, if you don't have the game and you wanted to enter,
Oh, definitely. You know what? I don't have to.
you know, it's about as queer as a game as you can get in recent memory.
Mm.
And it did not get the attention it deserved last year. It came out last year.
But then Hades came out and. blew-
Yeah, I mean, Hades is great too.
Yeah.
Hades is great too. But
Also, hi CTK. How's it going?
also, Hito, even if you don't win it, it's very Earthbound vibes. So I think you'd love it.
I would probably end up buying it in that process if it is. Trust me.
It's on sale. It's $11.99 right now.
Oh my god.
What isn't on sale right now? This
Oh
is
my
nuts.
god, it's on sale.
Oh no! What do you know? It's on sale. What are you gonna do about it?
All right, so remember, guys, it's exclamation point bear to enter the competition.
Exclamation point
get the
bear.
raffle.
Get that game over there.
You get a free game, and you get to do things. You get to play this Earthbound-esque game that's very inclusive.
At this point, I'm actually just gonna scroll through my wish list and name games that have queer representation
You know how to
because
make
there's
a...
a lot.
Oh, so
You
Mika
have
says,
like
Mika says
a
you know how to make a
90
really
game
queer
wish
game.
list.
Make
You
a
mean
game based
queer
on
representation or just like unique or interesting representation. I've heard Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice really does a fantastic job of talking about like trauma and mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Red
Also-
Strings Club, I hear, has LGBT rep.
For mental health rep, at least in some cases. It's a psychological horror game, but for its reasons, because again, mental health can be scary for most people, which is
Mhm.
a thing. I like to describe this game as mental health is scary for a lot of people because this is a normalization of it, and sometimes we try to pretend things are going on. But I
Mhm.
would think, and I would put this as a list, get a Mori.
Amori. Yeah, that's
Amori's-
on my list.
Mori's a very good game. It goes into a kid who did something very much
Let me make sure
really
it's on my
bad
list.
to the point where he had to forget about it
It is.
mentally. It's really good.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
definitely on the front of my list.
so Marzi, it's
Mhm.
OMOR. You put an O where the A is, and everything else is spelled correctly. It also has those Earthbound vibes, especially when you could fight Bad Dial-Up as a boss. Bad Dial-Up is a boss.
Wow. I mean, was it not?
The Error 404 screen is also a boss.
Was it not?
Oh, it's okay. He spelled it.
Yeah.
Oh, Maury. And they were talking over you, and you mentioned my comment. Which one? You know how to make a really queer game. Make the game based on a queer eye for the straight guy, like the show.
Yeah, like the show.
I mean, it is pretty queer.
It is.
Also, to bring up Queer Eye really briefly, that show is also a good good example of variance in queer people, because every one of those guys is like a different person.
Yeah.
Like a distinctly different individual. They're not all the same from the same crop.
All right, guys.
Got the notepad ready? Okay.
All right, guys. We got 2 more minutes before I hit this raffle button. If you guys don't have the game Eichenfeld, by all means, !bear to get into the competition.
I know it's not a queer game, but Unbeatable is like really cool. It's like aesthetically, it looks almost like Gurren Lagann, like the anime, like it's like a Studio Trigger game, Studio Trigger show, but it's a rhythm game. It's almost like a rhythm game set in an anime with a really cool like retro anime aesthetic. Oh my goodness. Scrolling through. God, there's a lot of really interesting games, but not necessarily solid LGBT representation.
No.
Going under.
Well, yeah, I mentioned that before.
Yeah, Kari did mention that. So huge credit to Kari. What was the laugh? I'm just scrolling through the list.
Rhythm games are always good.
Rhythm games. I love some rhythm games.
All right, I think we're ready to start.
Do it.
All right. We're gonna start the animation. It's gonna be really loud.
It's okay. I have it muted. Ooh, giveaway time.
Here we go.
Who's it gonna be? Why does this feel like Jackbox?
And our winner is... Oh god, guys, it's slowing down. Slowing down.
Oh my god.
This is so cool. I've never seen this done before. This is great.
Marzi the Martian, you have won Eichenfeld. Congratulations.
Marzi! Marzi!
Marzi. Now, Marzi has
Oh, man.
Wait, Marzi has to claim it.
Oh, she's there.
She's there. Marzi, type anything in chat. Just claim it. Just write
Say a
anything.
thing.
Say anything. Say
Oh my God,
anything.
what is the little
Hi!
This is amazing.
That was so awesome.
Hito, I gotta get the link to whatever this is.
Yes.
So
Please.
I will give you latch tools. You need to get Adobe Air first before you do this, and there's a tricky way to get
Okay.
Adobe Air. I will show you
Okay.
guys later, but
Yeah,
oh my god, this is a
definitely
beautiful
let me
thing.
know.
All right, so Marzi, you have won a copy of Eichenfeld, courtesy of Miss Mango.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna get in there now. I'm, as happy as I would have been to give it to Hito or CTK, I love that I'm giving this copy to Marzi. Marzi is just like such a paragon for representation.
Definitely. Also, Mikon said, did Marzi just Kamehameha prolapse status? I'm like,
I saw that too.
I'm just like,
kind of.
maybe, perhaps.
Copy.
I mean, hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you just got to Kamehameha wave a prolapse anus, right?
That's what happens.
Marzi the Martian. Copy paste. Boom, there it is in the Discord.
There you go. All right, Marzi. enjoy the game. Thank you, Miss Mango, for joining us for the giveaway. We're gonna send it over to Anxiety if they're still on.
This is about to
Let's
be
see.
super dope.
Let's take a look.
All right, let's have a look.
Anxiety. No, I don't see them on. They might have wrapped up.
Oh,
They were having a talk too, so they probably wrapped up when their talk was done.
yeah, they're no longer live. Let me check who else is on right now. Because we're talking about queer representation today. I have a few people in mind. I have quite a few people in mind for LGBT representation. I rather send it to somebody who represents that brand today.
100%.
I just rated him the other day, but Dexter Chaco is on, and he definitely represents that.
I actually was gonna ask Dexter to join us for today. I was gonna have you two.
That would've been
I was gonna have you two
fantastic.
share a camera, and then Dexter being on the second screen as well. That would have been really cool. But I
There's
also
always next time.
there is always next time. I also see Palpu Komi as well.
Ooh.
She play they still learning pronouns,
Mhm.
but Palpu is because Palpu Komi is another cool streamer that I've gotten to know. Has played Phasmo with me, Waba, and Franklin Turtz. It was hilarious too.
You're right, Marzi. His title is super cool. It's
Oh,
yeah, I
two
just
bi
read it.
guys. Happy Pride, Black Lives Matter.
Well,
Two
it,
bi
loo-
guys trying to survive.
it looks like we're gonna send it to Dexter. We are gonna send it to Dexter
Alright.
then. Let's do it.
Dexter's also a game developer too,
Super
so it's kind of
dope.
nice that we're talking about games.
This is great.
Let's send it to Dexter
Perfect.
Chaco.
Marzi, I hope you stream it. Oh, Marzi, I also have to ask you a question after stream.
Well, we could go into decompress for a little bit, so we can all do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Into the decompress room.
all right. So I'm gonna wrap up here first. Let's give out the sub-raid emotes, which we have the new emote that. What? Why aren't you working? Oh, there we go. Okay, I was like, what happened to it? What happened? We have the new emote that Shell Shock Prime actually gave me recently, which is the new
Ooh.
8-bit love emote. And then we
Love. Oh man, that's adorable.
Yep. And then we have our regular call. Let's send it over to Dexter Chaco. I'm gonna deafen myself for a quick sec. All right.
Sure.
All right.
Cool.
Anyway, guys, this is Hito Retro
I'm
Gaming
gonna-
giving you guys the 8-bit love. So, 8-bit love, sending it all to you.
I'm subbing.
You're what? Wait, what? Oh, you wanna try that new emote? You're just like, I'm subbing.
Blam.
Oh my god.
There
I want
it is.
that
Copy
new
pasta. Copy pasta. There it is. Boom, boom, boom.
emote.
Oh no, it didn't work. You gotta do the space.
Yeah, I'm in the space, but yeah, you go. That's the new emote. Just have all the 8-bit love running around. All right, guys. 8-bit love to everyone. Have an awesome rest of your night, and 8-bit love.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for having us. This has been so real.